Hello students, welcome to Answer Writing program. Today we will be discussing 3 questions taken from GS1 Art and Culture section. So the topics are for today's discussion: architecture and sculpture, traditional arts, crafts, etc. So let's an overview of our question. The first question is related to the Carnatic and Hindustani musical styles. The second question is taken from the numismatic study of the Gupta period. How can the coins find out into the Gupta period can give us insight about the different kind of things. The third question is taken from the Gandhara arts. So let's start our discussion. So the first question is saying, what are the key differences we can find between Carnatic and Hindustani musical styles? Why do we find Gharana system in full force in Hindustani music whereas they are absent in Carnatic music? Okay. So first of all, try to understand the demand of the question. Here in the first part of the question, they are asking about the key differences between the Carnatic and Hindustani musical style. Because these two musical forms are prevalent into the different part of the India. The historical background is also different. That is why we can find starking difference between the two style of music. So we have to mention about the differences into the first part, and the second part is asking about why we find Gharana system prevalent into the Hindustani music where it is absent into the Carnatic. So we have to explain why it is prevalent into the Hindustani. That is the second part of the question. So here let us start with the introduction. In introduction, we can write down the origin of the music. Okay, so the origin of music in India is very old. If we consider our ancient text, we can find out about the music. We can find text related to the music in India. For example, Samveda is having the mention of the music. So in our introduction, we can write down, India is a home to an extensive musical heritage that dates back centuries. According to the mythology, so if we consider mythology, Narada Munis introduced the art of music to the earth. And if we traces the music to the Vedic period, then we can find that Samveda has mention of the different notes of the music. And if we consider the Gandharva Veda, which is considered as Upaveda of Samaveda, that is also having the mention of the music because it is considered as a musical document. Okay. Over the time, the main style of music has been developed in India as Carnatic and Hindustani musical style because these are having some of the differences. That's why they have separately evolved as the different musical styles. So here in introduction, we provided some of the mythological or some of the historical facts related to the music, which will provide your introduction a good holistic perspective. Let's come to the body. So here in the first part of the body, we are going to talk about the key differences between the both style of the music. So what are the main differences? First of all, if we talk about the Carnatic music, it is purely indigenous. So whatever development, whatever evolved perspective we see in this Carnatic music, these are moreover purely indigenous. While if we see the Hindustani music, Arabian and Persian influence can be seen on the Hindustani music because it has been performed into the courts of the different rulers, Mughal rulers and different rulers, and the performance is influenced by the instruments, the different kind of techniques they have brought into the India. That is where the Hindustani music is having the different kind of influences, mainly Persian and Arabian. Then the second important aspect is the freedom, how much freedom you are providing into the different kind of musical style. So here if you consider Carnatic music, the freedom is not given to the artist to improvise. Whatever notes are there, whatever ragas are there, they have to perform that very strictly, in which it has been designed in the ancient time. So moreover, the purity or the purity is being mentioned of the musical notes. Moreover, the improvisation is not available into the Carnatic music. While here, if you consider the Hindustani music, the freedom is given to the artist to improvise. That is why, because of this feature, we will see that different kind of gharanas got evolved into the Hindustani musical styles. So the next point is related to gharanas only. The freedom is not given here in Carnatic. That is why there is no concept of different gharanas. While if we see the Hindustani music, we can find out different gharanas has been developed. Because of the improvisation, variation within the Hindustani music, we can find out a lot of gharanas prevail into the Hindustani music. Also the musical instruments, see, the Carnatic music also uses a lot of instrument, but the main emphasis is being given to the vocal cords. Okay, so that is why the main important factor of the Carnatic music is vocal cord, while here equally importance is given to the musical instruments. So both the vocal cords and the music and the instrument play an important role here in Hindustani music. If we consider about different ragas, so here if we consider raga, around 72 Melakatras ragas has been developed into the Carnatic music, while here 6 main ragas has been developed. Time adherence is again an important point. Here is no adherence of time. They want to finish their vocals whatever time is required to complete it. While if we consider the Hindustani music, they has been evolved during the performance of the courtyard of the different emperors and kings. That is why there is a strict time followance is required. The main instruments, if we consider the Carnatic music, we can find out Mridangam. The prominence of Mridangam is there. Veena and mandolin is also important. But if we consider the Hindustani music, we can find out there is a lot of influence of the instrument which has been bought by the Arabian and Persian people, and also they have evolved, like different kind of musical instruments also get evolved due to the influence of those. So we can find out tabla, sarangi, sitar and santoor in Hindustani music. The area of influence, geographical area, if we talk about, it is prevalent mostly into South India, while it is prevalent into the North India due to the different kind of kingdoms we had in North India. That is why the prevalence of the Hindustani music is moreover in North India. We can find out there is some common features also between both them. For example, violin and flute played in both the type of musical forms. Now we have dealt with the first part of the body. Now come to the second part where we are talking about Gharana systems. Why Gharana system is prevalent into the Hindustani music and why it is absent into the Carnatic music. So see, it find out into the Hindustani music, as we have discussed, there is a scope of improvisation. The artists have a liberty to improvise the vocals, improvise the instruments. That is why the different gharana got evolved into this musical style. So it encourages the modification. The Hindustani music encourages the modification. That is why the different composition is possible by the artist. And there is a different interpretation different artist has provided. Thus the gharana system started, and later on it got evolved into the different part of the country. So artist is allowed to sing differently, and they are also allowed to use the instrument in a different way. So that is why it created the system of gharanas, and by different kind of style, singing styles, by different kind of playing the instruments, the variation is there among the Hindustani music, which provides it's a beautiful variation among the different gharanas. So there is a scope of improvisation as we have discussed, and this provided that the gharana like Agra, Talwandi and different gharanas we can find out in India prominently in the Hindustani musical style. But if we consider the Carnatic music, why it is not prevalent there? Because one type of singing style is prescribed here, and that is strictly followed by the disciple of the Carnatic music, and there is no scope of improvisation because you have to follow the ragas and the routine in a strictly followed way, strictly prescribed way. And that is why they have been emphasizing upon the sanctity and the purity of the composition. So that purity of the composition which has been developed earlier, that has been followed by generation after generation, and that is why they are exactly same the way it has been evolved earlier. That is why the composition is been moreover same, and there is no provision of gharana because there is no scope of improvisation is there into the Carnatic music. So that is something which we have discussed related to the gharana system into the Hindustani music, and we have discussed into the no prevalence of gharana into the Carnatic music. Now come to the conclusion part. What we can write down in the conclusion? We can write down that the difference between the Hindustani and Carnatic music is found due to the historical development, the development of the historical, the facts which contributed to the development of these two different musical styles, and also the geographical reasons, area of influence which they are having, and the importance of these musical art as a rich heritage to the country. So we can write down that Carnatic and Hindustani musical style are different because there is a different historical development which we have discussed, how Hindustani music got influenced by the Persian and Arabic people. So it is having the different historical development, and also the geographical influence is also different, the areas where it is been prevalent. That is why we can find some structural differences between these two musical style, and that is the beauty of these two musical style. They are very different, yet they are the cultural heritage of India, and they are rich and profound expression of Indian classical music, as they have been carrying out the legacy of the India into the area. So that is what the first questions which we have discussed. Now let us go through the model answer. Here in model answer, in the introduction part, we have provided about the ancient origin of music in India. Then we have provided some of the key differences. For example, it is purely indigenous, while Hindustani is having the influence of Arabic and Persian people. Then we have written about the Gharana system, and we have written about the conclusion, how it is having the geographical and historical differences. Thus, both types are having some significant differences. So that was the first question. Now let us discuss our second question, which is saying, how does the numismatic study of the Gupta period decode the trends in economy, polity, religion and arts of that time? So first of all, try to understand the demand of the question. It is asking the numismatic study of the Gupta period try to help us about the polity, economy, religion and art. So what is this numismatic study? It is nothing but the study of the coin of that time. Okay, so they are talking about how the different kind of coins we find into the Gupta period tell us about the different economic structure of the Gupta period, the polity and governance aspect of the Gupta time, and also the art, architecture and religion related to them. So we have to explain the different kind of coins we find out during that time and how much significant they are into understanding that polity, economy, governance, art of that time, and religion also. So we have to talk about that. That is the demand of the question. So here, if we talk about the introduction, what we can write? We can write down the brief background of the Gupta Empire and how the study of the coinage can help us out to understand the kingdom in a better way. Okay, so as we know, Gupta period is considered as the golden period of Indian ancient time because there are a lot of development happened. Like if we consider the art, architecture, religion, culture, polity, governance, economy, everything flourished during that time. And they were also liberal in terms of the different coinage. They have provided a lot number of coins by different kings of the Gupta time, and these coins are having very unique features. Different type of coins are having different kind of unique features which give us insight related to the different aspect of the Gupta Empire. That is why we do the study which is known as a numismatic study to understand about the Gupta period. So what we can write down? Gupta period, which lasted from the 4th to 6th century CE in India, is considered as the golden age, as we discussed in Indian history. And numismatic, the study of the coin, can provide a valuable insight into these trends and impact on the society during that time. Okay, so this is providing a holistic introduction for your question. Now come to the body part. As in the body there is a demand, we have to link how the study of the coin can tell us about the economy, polity, religion and art. So we are going to deal with this within our body into the different hats. For example, Gupta age is considered the study of the coin can tell us about the economy of during that time. How? Because the gold was a medium of exchange, because we can find out a lot number of gold coin were prevalent during the Gupta time. For example, prominence of gold as a medium of exchange in international trade during the early Gupta time. Then later on we can find out the prominence of silver and copper coins were there, and they are reflecting that there is a changing pattern into the economy. Earlier they were using the gold coin, and later on they have shifted with the prevalence of the silver and copper coin, which is signifying a change into the economic policy. So we can understand that these metals were used for the local transition, and also it is saying that for the large transaction gold coins were used, while for the smaller transaction, the silver and copper coins were used. So by studying the coins, you can understand about the economic aspect of that time, what kind of transactions were happening, how many different kinds of coins they were having, and what is the significance of that coins. For example, here we have understood for smaller transaction they were using the silver and the copper coins. Provides information related to empire also. How? Because we can understand about the different kind of trade routes, we can understand about the regional distribution of coin circulation, and also taxation system of that period. So what kind of different taxation they were having, we can understand about that with respect to the different coins also. So that is the importance with respect to economy. Now understand about the polity, how we can understand the polity by studying the coins. The Gupta coins also provide insight related to the political structure, because see, there is a Kumar Devi type of coin, and this coin was issued by the Chandragupta one. So this coin is having the depiction, Kumar Devi type of coin is having a specific kind of depiction through which we can understand it is showing the matrimonial alliance between the Gupta and Lichavi republic. So here also we can understand what kind of matrimonial alliance it was having with different kind of kingdoms, and what kind of relation, thus what kind of relation it was maintaining. So through this we can understand about the polity also. Also the image and inscription on the coin of different rulers, their titles and their lineage also can be understood. For example, different coins are having the depiction of the different ruler. The number of the coins also vary with respect to the different rulers, so we can understand what kind of importance that particular ruler was having. For example, the archer type of coin issued by the Samudragupta. Also, we can see the image of coin on one side, while the various symbol and deity on the other side, reflecting the king's belief in divine right of a ruler. So whenever a king or the ruler is depicting his picture on one side, and the inscription or the deity, some holy deity's picture on the different side, it is symbolizing that the king is having the right on behalf of the divine to rule that kingdom. So it is establishing the authority of the king. Now let us try to understand how we can understand about the religion with the help of Gupta time period coin. So if we consider the Gupta time period, we can find out that different Hindu deities such as Vishnu and Shiva has been depicted into the coin, which provides us the insight that it was a popular religion during that time, and the different kings has provided patronage to Hinduism. So for example, if we see Chandragupta II, he issued the Kalasha type of coin, and also Kumar Gupta issued Kartikeya type of coins, which again is a symbol of the Hinduism. Also we can find different kind of Buddhist symbol and Buddha's depiction onto the coin of Buddha, coin during the Gupta time period, which shows a tolerant attitude of Gupta towards Hinduism. For example, if we consider Chandragupta II, he issued the coin of Bodhisattva, Bodhi tree and wheel of Dhamma into some of the coins. Also, various ritual and custom related coins were also prevalent there. For example, Samudragupta issued Ashwamedha type of coin, so which is showing Ashwamedha procedure or ritual of that time. Also, with the help of Gupta coin, we can understand about the trends and arts of that time. For example, if we consider different coin, we can find out the depiction of the figures which is wearing elaborate jewelry and head dresses. So they are also providing us insight what kind of life they were living and what kind of artistic features they were having during that time. So through coin we can understand that. Also there is a depiction of Samudragupta's Veena type of coin where he is holding the Veena. So it is also showing that Guptas were supported the music, which is providing us insight related to the art and culture of that time. Also there was dinar. So this dinar is a very beautifully designed coin which is showing the skill of those Gupta people, how delicately they have designed that coin. So this is again showing their exceptional skill. So this was the body where we have discussed the different aspect of the coin through which we can understand polity, religion, art and economy of that time. Now come to the conclusion part. In the conclusion, what we are going to write? We are going to write about the Gupta period as the golden age of India, and how the different kind of beautifully designed and carved coin we can understand about in a better way. So the Gupta period is known for its artistic achievement, which we have seen in the field of literature, architecture, different kind of arts. They were doing a great work. And the Gupta Empire represents the pinnacle of Indian classical coinage also, because they have provided a different kind of coin also, beautifully designed coin, and through which we can understand the art, architecture, religion, culture, polity, governance. So the coin also providing us the different kind of aspect, and which make Gupta coinage a great important in Indian art and architecture. So now let us go through the model answer. In the answer, we have given the introduction by defining the numismatic art, what it is the study of the coin, and then we have given the brief introduction related to the Gupta period. Then we have given the importance of the coinage, how it is depicting the economy of that time, polity of that time, religion and trends in art of that time. And then in the conclusion, we have given that how through the coins we can understand the Gupta period, which was a golden age of Indian ancient history. Now let us discuss our third question, which is related to the Gandhara art. The question is saying, highlight the Central Asian and Greco-Bactrian element in Gandhara art. Explain how it is different from the Mathura art. So first of all, try to understand the demand of the question. The first part of asking about the elements or influence of the Central Asian and Greco-Bactrian elements in Gandhara art, what influences it is having on Gandhara. And in the second part of the question, we have to provide the differences of Gandhara art with the Mathura art. So these are the two demands of the question. Let us come to the introduction. Here in introduction, we can give a brief background about the Gandhara art, why it is important and what important features it is having. So here we can write down that Gandhara art is a style of Buddhist art that flourished into the Gandhara region from the 1st century BCE to the 5th century CE. This art style is known for its unique combination of Central Asian and Greco-Bactrian elements. So it is having a great influence of these two elements into the art, and also the different kind of Buddhist depiction if we see during that art, it is having heavy influence of these two elements. So we have provided an introduction related to the Gandhara art. Now come to the body part. Here two part of the body we have to deal with. In the first, we will be providing the influence of the Central Asian and the Greco-Bactrian element into the Gandhara art, and in second it will be differentiated with the Mathura art form. So here what we can write down, the Central Asian influence. For example, if we see the Saka art, we can find out the depiction of the Buddha is done in such a way that it is having same feature as the Central Asian people. So the depiction is same as the Central Asian people because it is having the influence. For example, we can see broad face, almond shaped eyes and full beard, and which is a feature of the Central Asian people. We can see the diagrams also. Also, these Central Asian people were good with the gold and precious metal work. So that is why we see the work of the Buddha, we can find out these detailing is being provided into that work. Also, these figures are moreover having the realism. So the thick drapery, we can find out the robe which is being wear by the Buddha into the picture. We can find out the thick drapery is there. Also, we can see the Buddha's robes and the folds has been provided into the detailed manner. If we see the Greco-Bactrian influence, we can find out the Hellenistic features is being provided into the art. So these are having the influence of the Greek gods. For example, Apollo. So the face of Buddha is inspired from the face of the Apollo. And also, if we see, the attention is being provided to the details. For example, the jewelry or mustache, we can see which is influenced by the Greco-Bactrian art form. Also, there is, if we consider the Gandhara art, we can find out the realism also available here. So the different kind of motifs they have used, the use of the lotus flower or the grapevines, which is again a feature of the Greco-Bactrian art, and it has been carried out into the artwork of the Buddha and the Gandhara also. As we have discussed, it's been inspired from the Greek figures such as the Vajrapani. If we see, it is being shown as the Hercules. Buddha has been shown as the Apollo. Also, we can find out the prevalence of the stucco. So, stucco is nothing but it is a kind of art which is being done with the help of plaster. So, the popular material for Greco-Bactrian art was often used for creating relief structure on the walls and pillars. So, with the help of stucco, it has been done. Now, if you can see here also into the diagram, the depiction of the Buddha, and here also in the Bodhisattva Gandhara 5th 6th century CE diagram, we can see it's being done into the same line which we have discussed just now. Now come to the second part of the body, where we have to provide the comparison between the Gandhara and the Mathura school of art. So we can see these are the two figures where we can see the differences also. So if we see the reason, both were prevalent during the Kushana and they flourished and they evolved. If we see the influence, so if we consider the Gandhara art, this is related to the Gandhara and this is related to the Mathura art. Okay, so if we consider the outside influence, we can find out the Gandhara art was having outside influence, while the Mathura school of art, if we consider it, it is entirely indigenous. We cannot find out external influence on it. Also, the main depiction of Gandhara art or the artwork is being done on the theme of Buddha. Okay, so the main influence is being given on to the Buddhism, and Buddhism related events is being depicted in it. But if we consider Mathura school of art, the different religion, for example, Hinduism, Buddhism or Jainism is being done. And if we see the influence on Mathura art, the outside influence is not being provided, but inside influence it is there. So the different regional development were going on into the different regions. It is having the influence of those elements. So the Mathura school of art, we can see the depiction of different Hindu god and goddesses also. Also, the material used were blue, grey sandstone into the Gandhara art, while here in the Mathura, mostly spotted red stone was used. If we see here, this is the depiction of the Buddha, the Buddha's head from Takshila. So we can see here the starking feature of the light and dark shades is being used. Also the grey sandstone, which we have discussed just now, it has been used here into the picture. We can see that. Also, if we see this is the example of the Mathura school of art. It is the seated Buddha from Agra. So we can see here the features of it. If we compare, the kind of material is being used is the sandstone only. Here in the features of the Buddha, the spiritual Buddha is being depicted, sad Buddha is also being depicted, beard Buddha is also depicted, because it is having the influence, as we discussed, from the Central Asia. It has influence, and therefore the beard and mustache kind of Buddha is being depicted. Also the less ornamentation is there is less decorative work. In that way it has been done. Also the detailing is being provided. If we can see this feature or face of the Buddha, we can find out the great detailing is being done to the different features, facial feature of the Buddha. While if we consider here, the Buddha is being depicted into the shaved head. So if we consider the head, the shaved hair is there. Also the headgear is being provided, and also the graceful posture of Buddha we can find out. Also mostly the seated Buddha is there in Padmasana, but some of the standing Buddha is also there. For example, we can find out standing Buddha of the Shravasti. And also halo around the Buddha is decorated with geometrical motifs. So we can see also that the depiction of the different motif is also there. And also the Buddha is surrounded by two monks, Padmapani and Vajrapani. Padmapani is someone who is holding the lotus, while Vajrapani who is holding the Vajra. So we can find out the Bodhisattva also, the Padmapani and Vajrapani. So also if we consider the Gandhara art, we can find out wavy hair, large forehead and earlobes. So we can see the large earlobes The forehead is also large, and these are again the feature of the Central Asian, and the almond shaped eye which we have discussed, half open half closed. So it is again showing a feature, more humanistic feature of the Buddha it is showing, while here the moreover the spiritual feeling is being depicted. And as we have discussed, most of the time the seated Buddha is there, but at times the standing Buddha is also there. So that is something related to the differences between the Gandhara and Mathura art we have discussed. Now come to the conclusion. Here in conclusion, we can write down the contribution of the Gandhara school of art. So we can write down, despite having great influence of the Central Asian art and other art form, the use of the realistic human figures, drapery and naturalism in Indian sculpture we can find out through the Gandhara art of school, and the different kind of depiction of the Buddha and Bodhisattva they have provided, the animal motif use, the different kind of element they have introduced provide us a great variation and great insight to the cultural heritage of that time, and it is providing us an insightful knowledge related to the art of that time. So we can understand that culture, the time and society in a much more informed way. So that is the holistic conclusion which we have discussed. Now we'll go through the model answer. Here in model answer we have given information related to the Gandhara art, in which time period we can find it out, and how it is having the influence of the other elements. That Central Asian influence is there, Greco-Bactrian influence is there, and then we have compared it with the Gandhara and the Mathura school of art, and we have provided out the different feature of the Buddha in both the art form, and then we have provided the importance of this art to understand the culture of India in a much more informed way. So that is the discussion for today. Thank you very much. Have a great day.